And welcome back to the channel. Mr. Vikala here, coming at you with my visual guide for Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising's newest update, that is to say, the Ilsa update. They just added her to the game, and along with her came a pretty healthy amount of changes. Not a full-scale bounce patch, but a pretty healthy one in my opinion. There's 11 characters changed this time, even though 11 isn't, the whole roster. It's a fair number, and I gotta say, even though it's just 11 characters, each character's changes are pretty in-depth. Like, they changed a lot about each character, so we're gonna be breaking those down one by one as usual, showing you, visually what all the changes look like, and deciphering what those patch notes actually mean. So as always, if you find this video helpful, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more guides and fighting game gameplay from me in the near future, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. With all that said, let's go ahead and start breaking these patch notes down. First up is Katalina. So the way we'll do this is we'll talk about the focus, that is to say what the developers' overall intentions were with the changes, and then we'll go through all the major changes one by one. We're not gonna go through every single little minute change, but we'll go through, I kind of like stockpiled what are all their major changes, and we'll give the examples of that, because a lot of the information is kind of in the weeds, and some of it kind of repeats. So just in the interest of your time, we're going to go through what the most impactful changes are for each character. So for Katalina, her focus is to adjust enchanted lands, also known as the Stinger, and this is to enhance her overall neutral option. So basically, most of her changes here are geared towards making her neutral even stronger, which is one of her strongest aspects already. So yeah, that's pretty good for her. Starting with her 5L. This one is actually a nerf. They reduced the active frames and gave it more recovery. So basically, this was a really, really hard button to challenge. So with the added recovery and less active frames, it'll be a little bit easier for the opponent to be able to contest this. Next up, Crouching Light. This one got buffed. It has less pushback on block, meaning it will work better as a stagger option. Dash H, travel speed and distance increase. So this is just a straight up buff. You do a Dash H, it travels faster and hits a little bit further, so you're more likely to get the hit from even further away. For the Light Wall, this one's a little weird, but basically the slash now comes out 17 frames after the parry, which is designed to be a little bit easier on the opponent, because before it was kind of hard to tell when the slash would come based on, when you activated it. So now it's just a little bit easier to know when that slash is coming. And also adding a little bit of quality of life to the wall is also the fact that you can, of course, backdash and forward dash out of it, but now you can use the dash macro. Inputting the dash macro will now allow you to cancel it, which is easier than tapping back and forward. So that's pretty cool. And lastly, the main focus we talked about at the beginning, Enchanted Lands, also known as the Stinger. So this one has seen a lot of changes. Basically, they want each version of it to have a different utility. The light version is now faster, so it starts up at a whopping 15 frames. So as a mid-screen whiff punish tool, it's even crazier now. The likeliness of you whiff punishing something is just even higher now that it's coming out faster. The medium version reels back further. So if you're in a situation where you're trying to catch a button, or you believe the opponent's about to swing at you, you have an even better chance of evading before coming back in for the whiff punish. The H version, specifically the charged version, starts up faster. It's much faster now. Because of this, they removed the guard break, but now if it hits on counter hit, you get a much bigger reward than before. And the ultimate version just simply starts up faster. So now if the opponent is attacking and you have a read, you're much more likely to get your parry out. Lowain. The focus of his changes is to tone down the strength of both his ultimate fireball and his ability to gain meter from eating. Lowain has become pretty notorious lately as a character who has a pretty high robbery factor and is very, very difficult to kill, not only because he's just hard to block and hard to deal with in general because he puts so much stuff on the screen, but also because, yeah, his ability to eat rapidly and just gain so much health back in meter makes him very, very, very hard to kill. So for his actual changes, starting with his close H, they sped up the startup. It now comes out in 9 frames, so it's a little bit faster, meaning that it's just a better poke and it'll work better in his combos as well. Speaking of combos, the counter hit version now launches, so that'll definitely be better for his combo game. His far H has more pushback on block. This will definitely have a lot of strong applications. It'll probably let him set up his Rekka at the ideal range. Like you see right there, I'm already +4 just because they block the H. So Lowain being able to buy space is very, very valuable for his summons and the way his Rekka works. So that's a pretty huge buff right there. Dash M saw a little bit of a nerf. The hurt box is bigger during his recovery. So you see how this recovers pretty fast, but while he's recovering, they made his hurt box bigger, so it is easier to tag him while he's recovering. Okay, so here is where, if you were reading the patch notes, things get really crazy. So if you read this on the patch notes, it's really hard to decipher because it's just a barrage of information. But here I'm just gonna break it down for you as simply as possible. So his eating mechanic, just pressing unique. He has 2 different kinds of foods. One food gives back health, and the other kind of food gives back meter. So for the health items, he has a small, medium, and large food. So for the small, that one actually got buffed. It's hard to get it on random, but if you get the small food, it gives him a little bit more health, and that's going to come up a little bit more frequently. So small food did get buffed. However, medium HP food now gives him less health and comes up less frequent. And then the heavy HP food also is going to give less HP. So to summarize that, anything that gives him HP, to get a lot of HP back, he's not going to get as much as before, and it's just going to be less frequent. So if he does get HP back, it's just going to be like a little bit at a time. Supposedly, according to the notes, he's only going to get a little bit back at a time, so it'll be harder for him to just eat and just restore his health super quickly. And the same is true for his meter. He has 2 foods that give him meter back. One is a small amount, one is a heavy amount. And same thing, they made both of them less frequent. So in general, you're less frequent to get the meter food. As you can see, it's much slower and much less frequent than before. In the previous version, I would probably already have 100% if I tapped it that many times. But as you can see, it's not as frequent, and you don't get as much as before. Next up, his ultimate fireball. This received a nerf. It's kind of hard to demonstrate, but now if he gets hit during the first 24 frames of startup, the bros get interrupted. Yeah, there you go. Before, they would just fly through and hit you no matter what. But yeah, during that window, they can be interrupted. It's hard to do this. It's only the first 24, which is not a lot. So it can still do that, like right there. You got to hit them very, very quickly. But if you do, like right on the startup, it'll stop the bros from spinning and hitting you and knocking you down. Ultimate DP. This has a bigger hurt box when he's getting up. Pretty similar to the running M. Kind of the same deal here, just easier to punish on a whiff. The medium, heavy, and ultimate version of his Rekka all got buffed in terms of combo ability. They all hit up higher now to stop them from dropping in the middle of a combo. Human Pyramid sees a slight nerf as well, specifically to the Ender. When you do the Ender now, if it is blocked, it is now universally -6 no matter what, no matter the distance or anything. and the pushback has been reduced to make it easier to punish. So that's what it looks like now when you do it. You are right in front of them, you're -6, so that punish is going to be guaranteed. So basically, it's kind of more now, if you go in a human pyramid, you have to get that hit, because if you don't, you are going to take some damage. And finally, his Super Skybound art, Yugu, also known as Mario Party. It also saw a couple of changes. You can now cancel it. When you're in the middle of the animation, you can press the skill button to just turn it off, which is very surprising. That is a pretty crazy change. And then the Earth Pillar has less recovery, but it also has less pushback and less block stun. And the Slow Fireball can now persist on the screen even after Yugu is gone, which is very weird. Zeta. The focus of Zeta's changes are to balance out the utility of her spear attacks. They want each individual spear to have more of its own identity, so they each do something kind of different now. And also, they want to make her combo routes easier and more consistent, because they feel like her combos are a little bit too daunting for newer players, and they feel like it is sort of a barrier of entry that prevents more people from playing her. So moving on to her actual changes, we have a very, very unique buff, one that you hardly ever see in any fighting game, period, and that is they went ahead and buffed her jump. When you super jump with her now, they buffed the height. She doesn't leave the ground very far, so this is going to make it harder for the opponent to react to, because she's not going very high in the air. It's kind of a short hop, almost like a Charlotta sort of jump. And they also buffed the distance and the travel speed. So when you put it all together, she has a pretty ridiculous super jump. She goes like really far while also barely leaving the ground. So this is going to give her a lot of utility in the neutral space. Her crouching M has also been buffed. It is now 8 frames down from 9, so one of her best pokes just got even better. It's a whopping 8 frames. Next up, Dash H. This has also been buffed. It is now 17 frames down from 20, so basically one of her favorite running attacks now starts up faster. Moving on to Infinite Wonders, her Fireball, all across the board. This has been revamped. It is now completely safe on block, no matter the distance or the strength. You do the L, the M, or the H, no matter where you are, all of them are -3. So this is a completely safe option. You can actually end your block strings with this now. Talking specifically about the M version, it now launches higher and has increased knockback on counter hit. So there you can see the knockback and the increased height. And if it is counter hit, it will now bounce them off the wall even mid-screen. So now she has an incredibly threatening fireball that the opponent has to keep an eye on. For the H version, it now starts up faster and it triggers wall bounce from further away. Her Rising Spear, it got buffed to come out faster. It used to be 12 frames. It is now a whopping 9 frames. So this move right here comes out much, much faster at all angles and strengths. I don't need to tell you that 9 frames is very, very fast. Whether it is tagging somebody out of air or just working this into her combo game, at 9 frames, it's going to be even more reliable than ever. Same is true for the falling version. If you do it in the air, it is now faster. It used to be 18 frames. It is now 16. So all of these come out of the air faster. Again, this is going to help her not only in neutral, but with her combo routing. Moving on to her grounded spears. The medium version has increased travel speed and increased knockback. So it moves across the screen further and faster and pushes them back further. So putting those two things together, it'll make it a little bit easier to space it to where it's completely safe and you cannot be punished. Speaking of not being punished, they massively buffed the ultimate spear to be 100% safe on block. As you can see, it's -4 no matter where you do it, point blank or full screen. It is just straight up -4, so this move is basically a jump scare that the opponent always has to keep an eye out on because it's totally safe now. The only nerf to this move, as you may have just seen, is that the wall bounce has been reduced. When it actually connects and hits the wall bounce, they don't fly back to you, they just kind of flop on the floor over there. So it's going to be harder to get pickups from it, but I feel like that balances out by the fact that it is so safe now. For the ultimate rise, they made it have a bigger hitbox. So when she's going up, it's just going to tag the opponent from further away. Same thing for the ultimate fall. Both of these changes are the same. They're just designed to make them easier to land in combos. She also saw quite a bit of buffs to her stance. If you go into her stance and you do the L or the M follow-ups, both have been buffed. Starting with the L follow-up, the startup has been reduced. It's now 13 frames, down from 15. And then everything about it has basically been buffed. Recovery reduced, distance increase, and pushback reduced. So it's just all around just a better move, except for the pushback, obviously. Because of the pushback, it's going to be easier to punish. But in general, it is just a stronger move when you add in how much faster it is, how much more distance it covers, and how it has much less recovery. For the uppercut, the damage has been increased. So again, I feel like I've said it a million times, but this is going to help with her combo game. And the knockback has been reduced. Once again, same thing. And it actually added invul frames. So if you actually parry something with the armor and then do it afterwards, it actually does have 8 frames of invincibility. And lastly, probably her most notable buff, they extended the wall bounce distance on her air spear. So again, obviously, thanks to that, she is going to get way more combo opportunities because you can see from way back here, she's bouncing into the wall. So it's going to be much, much easier to get combos with Zeta than ever before. Cagliostro. It is with a heavy heart that I must report that Cagliostro has once again been nerfed. According to the focus from the devs, they want to reduce her overused tools while strengthening her underused tools. So in their own words, they said that they felt that she was too oppressive in the previous version. So they nerfed her a pretty fair bit to make her a little bit less oppressive, and they're hoping that with some of the buffs they gave her that she'll develop a new strong playstyle. So starting with Close H, this is actually a buff. If you hit just the first hit of Close H, it now knocks the opponent down. This allows you to combo into things like EX Trap. Which is definitely pretty cool. You can also combo into Medium Spike. That is definitely a really nice, pretty powerful change. On the opposite end though, they actually did it. They nerfed the God Button 5H, has had its recovery increase. So it now just has more recovery in general. On block, it used to be safe. Now it is -9. So you can no longer poke with this and just, you know, use it to push the opponent out of range. You actually have to commit to something on block because this is very punishable at -9. Next up, another nerf. Her sweep, Crouching Unique, now has a bigger hurt box. So in general, it should be easier for the opponent to tag this, and it should be harder for it to beat out some other powerful pokes in this range. Rock Charge. Rock Charge is gonna once again see a whole bunch of changes. So the list of changes for Rock Charge is huge. I'm just gonna go ahead and summarize it here as best I can. So starting with the charge itself, there's now less knockback on hit. So when you do this and they kind of flip out of it, they're just gonna be closer to you. So that's a change. The Air Rock Charge. This is actually a buff. When you charge the rock in the air, they almost completely removed the landing recovery. So when you do this, as you can see, I can just immediately start moving. This used to be -5 on landing. It is now 0. So it should be much harder if you're charging. It should be much harder for the opponent to run up and hit you, because as soon as you land, you can block immediately after about 1 frame. So that is a pretty nice buff right there. Now, the grounded rock shot has been slightly nerfed. It shoots a little bit slower. It now starts up in 19 frames, like 1 frame slower than before. But to compensate this, all of the charges have been buffed. So the hit stop on every charge has been increased by about 3 frames. So every rock is just more plus now after being charged. So if you have just 1 charge, you should be able to throw it and become plus, as you can see. So having just 1 charge and then coming in for like a block string, you can become extremely plus. So that is a nice buff. It'll give her more block string options, and it'll just be stronger in the neutral space as well. Next up, another huge, massive nerf. They nerfed her traps. Specifically the duration of her traps. I'm just gonna leave it out while I explain, but yeah, you pretty much should have already seen it right there. They do not last as long. They used to be 560 frames. They are now 320. So it's roughly half the time now. So about half the time they're gonna be on the screen. When you're in a match, you really feel it. It really feels like they disappear quickly. So yeah, this is the part about her being oppressive. Definitely not going to be as oppressive as before, because yeah, these traps disappear pretty quick in my opinion. But on the upside, they did buff the air trap. You might have seen it just now. She now falls way faster. So if you jump and do it, it'll kill your jump momentum really quickly and you'll fall really quickly. So you no longer linger in the air and become unsafe. So placing air traps is a lot faster and smoother now. The spike actually saw a bit of a buff here to compensate for the nerfs with the trap. The L version has increased range and tracking. As you can see, it actually tags from very far away now. This used to be like relatively close to CAG, but this actually works as a mid-screen poke now, which is cool. And same thing for the H version. The H version already went very far, but now it goes basically full screen, which kind of already did before. But I guess what they're trying to say is just the tracking is better, and it does reach a little bit further. It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah. And the biggest buff to her spike, the ultimate spike, now causes a ground bounce. And yes, you can combo off of this. So if they're like juggled, you actually get combo extensions now, where that used to just plant you on the floor. You actually get combos. So that is a pretty nice and welcome buff. Next up, the ultimate lariat. This has also been nerfed. They nerfed the launch height and the corner carry. So it's going to be harder for this to carry the opponent to the corner for wall bounces. And lastly, I'm very sad to report this one. Something she's had since she came out all the way back in vanilla is now gone. EX teleport is no longer plus. It is now negative on block, so you now lose your turn. So CAG's like golden situation where you put a trap down, do this, you know, trap them into the other one is pretty much gone now. That situation is gone. You can still do the air one, but I mean, of course, that, you know, that's not quite the same. But the ground version 100% is negative. So yeah, CAG's future, she's definitely going to need a new playstyle, because most of the tools that we all relied on have been changed pretty drastically. So time will tell what her new playstyle will end up looking like. Uno. The focus of Uno's changes is to limit the power of his Ganajan sword super while also strengthening his mid-range game. Starting with his JH, it now hits twice. It should be noted though that the second hit is not an overhead, only the first. Next up, his Air 6U. This now has invulnerability if activated after a parry. His Fireball has been pretty heavily buffed overall. It now has a bigger hitbox at the tip of the attack, and it starts up faster. Specifically, the L version starts up faster. So it's just an all-around bigger, faster poke. However, it no longer negates ultimate projectiles, and it will clash with single hit projectiles. So it is faster and better as a poke, but not quite as good as a anti-zoning. The M version also has the hitbox expanded, so it just connects better. But for the M version, the launch afterwards has been extended to make it easier to combo into his H afterward. And then once again with the H version, bigger hitbox on the edge of the attack. Moving on to M Spiral Spear. Spiral Spear medium version now launches on hit, and the ultimate version stops in front of the opponent like a stop sign. The medium follow-up from his stance has been adjusted. Honestly, I can't tell if this is a buff or a nerf. Uno players definitely let me know. It's just been changed so much. First of all, the startup was increased, so it is slower on startup. It's now 19 frames, used to be 13, but the recovery was reduced. So it's completely safe now at -4, but the knockback was reduced as well. So it's not gonna push them back as far away, but it also ground bounces. So this is a weird one. I can't tell if that's a buff or a nerf or just simply breaking even. You guys let me know. Next up is Mantra Wheel. The spin attack, the L version, had its travel speed and distance increased, so it goes faster further. The knockback was reduced, but this is to prevent the attack from whiffing on hit. So now when it connects, it should connect all the hits more consistently. For the dive kick version, for the L, M, and H, the landing recovery has been increased. So I think they want people to be whiffing this less often. And for the ultimate version, the block stun was increased, the pushback was increased, and he now slows down once it's blocked. So if you space it properly, it can be a pretty low negative. As you saw right there is -4. So yeah, right there -2. So yeah, kind of like a get in for free attack. For his down special, Fleeting Spark, the overall startup has been reduced. It now hits in 21 frames instead of 29. The parry window on it, however, was reduced, but the travel speed and distance were increased. So it's a little bit harder to parry with it, but when you do, it travels further, faster, and just starts up faster in general. So another strange sort of like break-even change on that one. And then, as they mentioned in the focus, his sword super has been nerfed. If he takes damage or even breaks a throw, he now loses 2 swords. So it's 2 swords every time damage is taken. So basically when he's in this mode, he's gonna have to be a little more careful. 6. The focus of his changes is to overall adjust his mid-range and neutral game while also keeping his identity as a close-range fighter. Starting with his Dash H. Dash H has seen a couple of pretty impactful changes here. First of all, the second hit no longer comes out unless it's on counter hit. If the second hit does hit, as you can see, it is now a crumple state. On block, again, only the first hit comes out, but on block, the first hit is special cancelable. So now he's gonna have options of just being out, getting in, and just going right into his Rekka or whatever he wants to do. Jumping unique. The dive kick is now faster. It is 18 frames down all the way from 24, so it's a lot faster. And it now launches on hit. Demon Step, his unique attack, is now cancelable from buttons. So you can do a block string into his unique now. You can basically break up his strings with his unique, both versions as well. Speaking of the charge version, it has been nerfed, however. If you do the charge version, it is no longer +2, it is now -2. So using this move to get in, no longer a free turn for him. For his Rekka, he sees a lot of changes in this patch to his Rekka, starting with the light version. The startup was reduced. It is now 12 frames instead of 13, so obviously that's really good for him. The Rekka is like his go-to part of his game plan, so the fact that it's faster, definitely very good for him. The medium version, distance traveled is further. As you can see from round start, it connects, so yeah, it definitely goes a lot further. The Demon Kick follow-up, the neutral skill follow-up, basically Demon Kick, travel speed and distance have been increased. And then for the medium up follow-up, the startup was decreased and it causes a ground bounce. So this is a move I hardly ever see sixes really doing. I think they wanted to give it more of an identity, so it's faster and it gives you a ground bounce. The medium counter, if you hold the counter and do the jump now tracks the opponent's location. For his flip attack, also known as Gate of Demons, they went ahead and reworked it slightly. They wanted the light and medium versions to have two different identities. So the light version is now classified as more of a projectile that's meant to be used in the mid-range, and the medium version is for immediately getting in on the opponent with a dive. For the medium version specifically, it has been sped up quite a bit. It is now 20 frames down from 29. And for the air version, the light Gate of Demons now causes a ground bounce, and the H version had the duration of the projectile reduced, so it fades away a bit earlier, specifically 32 frames earlier. So yeah, it's quite a lot. Basically, I guess they don't want this being as strong of a persistent threat at neutral as it used to be. And now possibly the craziest change of all to his kit, his wall dives have been buffed. All three L, M, and H versions are completely invincible once he reaches the wall. So as you can see, once he starts doing the kick, he becomes invincible, which to me is very, very, very crazy. I'm not really sure why they would do this. I feel like this is some sort of like error. Like I can't really believe that this is real, but yeah, you can see it's invul. So yeah, that's a thing now, I guess. In terms of individual changes, the L version had its landing recovery increased. Same for the M version. And then the H version, if it connects, it forces a crouching state, which should be pretty insane for his combo game. Siegfried, the focus of his changes is to simply strengthen the power of his far H and the options that it gives you in neutral. Starting with the far H itself, its damage has been increased, and its proximity block has been increased, meaning when you do it at neutral, it will stop the opponent from moving away from you at a further distance. As you can see, she's trying to walk backwards, but I'm literally preventing her from doing that by pressing my H, and it does it from pretty far away. His dash M got a slight nerf. Its hurt box recovery has been expanded. So basically, if this is whiffed, it's gonna be just a little bit easier to punish. For the dash H though, it has been buffed. The launch height has been increased. For his jumping unique, it has seen a slight nerf. It no longer hits behind Siegfried. So if they jump over you and do it, it is a big punish. Next up, his back special. I don't want to butcher the actual name. His back special. The L, M, and H versions all have an expanded hitbox. They all hit higher in the air now. So this is not an air unblockable of any kind, but it is more likely to hit the opponent out of the air. Specifically for the L version, the travel speed and distance has been increased. So it just goes further. This is to go off of the H. So again, It's for some reason they really like the H button, so all these changes are designed to go with the H. M, same thing, travel speed and distance increased. And the recovery's been reduced on this one, so you're gonna recover even faster. As you can see, it's 0 on block. And then for the H version, the startup was increased and the launch height was increased. So it takes a little bit longer to come out, but they are launched higher when you connect it. And for the ultimate version, also known as the unblockable, it now freezes time when armoring. So basically, if an opponent swings into your armor, you get the hit guaranteed. Moving on to his down special, the L version now travels a bit further. The M version had its start up reduced. It used to start up in 21 frames and now starts up in 20. And the ultimate version had its charge delay reduced and its travel distance increased. You can see it actually goes pretty far. For his unique, this one's pretty crazy. The unique where you sacrifice health to power him up, and it has the different levels. This no longer has a time limit of any kind. It now lasts for the entire round. So that is a pretty huge buff. That means he only has to sacrifice health the one time, and then he's just buffed until the round is over. Both of his supers saw a slight nerf. His regular super had its travel speed and distance reduced, so they don't want you hitting people with this from very far away. If you want to connect it as a counter, you got to be pretty close now. The same is true for the super skybound art. But his other super, the Blood of the Dragon, saw a massive buff. When you do this now, it now greatly enhances your attack power to 130%. That's the same as the level 3 charge. And it also increases your dash speed. So you can see he moves a lot faster while he's in this state. So it does more damage, moves faster, and his super jump is better. He basically gets, if you saw the Zeta section, he gets the new and improved Zeta super jump. When he super jumps, he doesn't really leave the ground, and then he moves further faster. Lucilius. Lucy's changes focus on improving his utility when his blade level is low. So basically, they don't want him to just be a strong character when his blade level's high. They want him to be a strong character all the time, which is pretty crazy. Let's check it out. Starting with his Far H. This got a combo buff. If you hit Far H on counter hit, it now has a bigger vacuum effect. So this pulls them in far enough to get other powerful strings, special moves, and just general conversions that are just going to help his overall combo game. For improvements to his blade level, if you go into his unique stance, it now has an incremental charge system on his blade level. Simply by going into the stance and holding it, if you're in it for a long enough time, it will just auto fill it up extremely fast. Not only that, if you hold this stance, it reduces the cooldown time of a skill. So let's say I'm at 0 and I throw out this fireball. You can see how long it usually takes for it to come back at level 0. I mean, that's the design of the character. It takes forever for his skills to come back. But if I throw this out and I go into his unique stance, it cuts the time in half while also leveling him up greatly. So basically, they really want you using this stance. And if that wasn't all, they buffed each of the buttons out of stance. If you do the L follow-up, it now has better active frame, so it's just an even better poke than before. The medium version, the draw-in distance has been increased, so it pulls the opponent in from insanely far. And the H version, travel distance increased, so it just hits further away than before. And not just that, the cancel window has been reduced. So if you just want to go into the stance and get out, you can get out much faster than before. For his fireball, the H version, the startup has been reduced from 39 frames to 34, and the travel speed's been increased. And the ultimate fireball now has an expanded forward hitbox. So when it's flying out, it's just gonna hit the opponent that much sooner. His lariat has seen a pretty considerable buff. They wanted the 3 versions to be much more different. So now the medium version is meant to be used at neutral. It's supposed to be a strong lariat style poke, just that you can check the opponent with at neutral. And then the H version is meant for pressure when you're up close to the opponent. They reduced the startup, but is now +6 on block. And lastly, he got a buff to his teleport. If you do the L version, it had its recovery reduced. So anytime you teleport, he's just going to recover a little bit faster than before. Vikala, they actually did it. This is a character that literally everyone has been saying needs to be buffed. And here we are. She got a pretty long and expansive number of buffs. According to them, the focus was to reduce the vulnerability of her items and improve her overall performance. Let's see if they were able to accomplish that. So starting with her close H, startup reduced. It is now 10 frames, comes out a little bit faster. Same is true for her far H. It now comes out at 10 frames, so it's faster. And also they reduced the recovery on it, so it's just a better poke in general. And similar to something we covered earlier with Siegfried, it had its proximity increased. So depending on the distance, it's easier to stop the opponent from trying to move away from this button. Crouching medium, this now travels further faster. So it is a much faster poke and it goes way further than before. It also had its recovery reduced. So all around, it's just a much better poke than what it used to be. And that's really good for her because it's one of her main ways of stopping rolls. So she's much better at that now. Next up is Crouching Heavy, her anti-air. It had its hurt box reduced. So now it's just simply gonna function better as an anti-air and has less chance of losing out to buttons. Jumping Medium, start up reduced. It just comes out faster, about 3 frames faster now, so it's just gonna work that much better as a cross-up attack. And the same thing is true for her Jumping H. This one comes out about 4 frames faster. This move was notoriously difficult to connect after jumping, but now it's gonna be a lot easier because it comes out way faster. Her item system has been pretty heavily buffed, so now when she is thinking of an item and you cancel it, the entire animation is just much faster. You can probably tell just by looking at it. You can cancel it insanely fast. So now if you see an item that you don't want, let's say I don't want this cheese, boom, it's gone. But right there, I got another cheese, but boom, that one's gone. So yeah, it's still gonna be RNG, but you can much more quickly cancel items that you do not want. Air item toss also got buffed. When you throw an item while in the air, she falls 18 frames faster. So basically now she falls with the item. If you've ever, if you don't remember or you never really seen Vikala that much, before she would throw the item would hit the ground and then she would fall, but now she falls instantly, so she falls with the item. So this is obviously much better. You don't want to be in this game where people are constantly running at you from full screen. You don't want to be stuck in the air up here, so the fact that she can actually quickly throw it is a pretty nice, pretty huge buff. Also, if you jump and think of an item but cancel it, that has also been sped up, and the landing recovery has been reduced to about 0. So now if you are in the air, you just want to cancel items, you're not really penalized for that. On the subject of her items, they switched the appearance rate. So according to them, the ball will now appear less often because this is one of the most useless items. It doesn't really do that much. It kind of hinders her combo game and it doesn't really do much on block either. So it's not really an item you want. So the fact that it appears less often is good. But on the other hand, they claim that the bomb and the spike, 2 of her best items, now appear more frequently. So I didn't really get them right there. I mean, that's just pure RNG for you. But as you can see, I didn't really get the ball that much. So definitely an improvement overall. I did play a lot of matches today, and I do feel like I got the bomb and the spike a lot. Yeah, right there you see it. So yeah, the rates definitely seem a lot better than before overall. And lastly, the heart and the cheese now both do the same thing. As you can see on the left, they give you health and meter. They give you a little bit of health and a little bit of meter. Instead of one giving meter, one giving health, they both do the same thing now, which is a pretty nice little quality of life buff there. For her cannons, if the cannon connects with the opponent, the knockback is reduced. This is, of course, to help with her combo conversion game. And the L cannon got buffed pretty heavily. It comes out faster and it comes out further away. It used to come out directly in front of her, but now it comes out pretty far, like a poke range. So now it actually works as a projectile. And speaking of projectiles, they buffed the ultimate version. Well, buffed and nerfed it. So when it is blocked now, it no longer causes a reset situation. Used to be when you block this, you would be completely reset. You still kind of are a little bit, but as you can see, Vikala is much more negative than before, especially if they dodge. If they dodge it, you're actually punishable. So they nerfed it in that way that you can't really throw that out anymore. It used to be very, very safe. And it was super fast. With 16 frames, it is 20 frames now. So it's considerably slower. It's very, very, very easy for the opponent to just spot dodge on reaction. So using it as a jump scare is gone. But if you do connect it, it gives a mid-screen wall bounce now. So that means she has way better damage potential mid-screen than ever before. Her pinwheels got buffed. The light version now hits twice and launches even on normal hit, and the startup was reduced. So one of her best pokes, which is very easy to make plus on block, just got a lot stronger. The medium version, the anti-air, was heavily buffed. This is probably my favorite buff that she got, one of them. It now actually, imagine this, it actually works as an anti-air. If you connect all the hits, it actually knocks the opponent out of the air. Instead of them just instantly recovering, they now actually fall to the ground, which means you can actually get follow-ups off of it now. And lastly, they buffed the mousetrap, Dormouse. If you do the medium version, it now travels across the screen much faster. You can see it comes out super fast, and it actually attacks the opponent more quickly too. On top of that, it also has its whiff recovery reduced. So this is just all around a way better move than it was before. And the ultimate version also got a big speed increase. It goes across the screen very fast. Sandelphon. Sandy got some pretty huge buffs, in my opinion. The focus of the buffs was to balance out his elements by strengthening water, earth, and wind. The developers felt that players were not using all of his elements. They were just sticking to one or two. So they wanted to balance them out by making the other elements more appealing. Starting with his dash H, the travel speed has been increased. So it just moves a little bit faster than before. Jumping U, the startup has been increased to 16 frames, so it is a little bit less of an oppressive jump attack. You're not going to be able to do it as close to the ground as before. You're going to have to time it a little bit better, or it might not come out. Moving on to the actual elements now. For water, the L Fireball now has a new reaction. This sword animation, the swipe of the sword when the water ball comes out, actually counts as a hit now. So this is a 2-hit move. So this will increase its usability in block strings and in combos. The medium version, it had its duration decreased, but the ball now picks up speed over time. And And the H version just simply goes faster over time. For wind, he gets a buffed backdash. The distance and duration are increased, which is pretty, man, that looks like a backdash from a different game. That's so crazy. That does not look like a backdash that's in this game. I mean, he does have an air dash, so I guess they're trying to go in that direction of they just want wind to have super mobility. Pretty cool, honestly. Other than that, the light fireball, the pushback has been increased, so it's going to work even better as a projectile. As you can see, it's pushing back pretty far. The medium and H versions both had the number of hits increased to 5. Even more so than ever, this is a fireball that you don't want to block. And last but not least, when it comes to the elements, Earth. This is the crazy one. If you haven't already seen this, prepare yourself. This is probably one of the biggest buffs in this whole patch that I couldn't believe my eyes when I first saw it. Is L Fireball in Earth stance has been completely reworked. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a giant full screen attack now. So according to them, startup increased, but total frames increased and range increased. Yeah, range increased, I'll say. So now, yeah, basically it just takes up the whole screen and is insanely plus. This is the light. This is not an ultimate. This is not a EX. That's just the light version. So yeah, if you do this from full screen, it is just, wow. I'm honestly, I'm just kind of shocked by how powerful this is. For the medium version, startup increased and range increased. So basically the same thing, just a huge, massive blast. And to close out his changes, his Virgil stance got a little bit of a buff. The L version had its startup reduced, so it just starts up a lot faster than before. And the forward hitbox has been extended forward, so not only does it start up faster, but as you can see, it reaches considerably far. So at mid-range, this is pretty dangerous. And they gave the same thing to the H version. The forward hitbox is greatly expanded. And last but not least is Galleon. Galleon, in my opinion, might have the most fun changes of anyone on this list so far, and that is because she didn't just get buffed, but she actually got reworked as a character. According to the focus from the devs, they wanted to improve her overall strength while reworking the way her meteors function as an oppressive tool and a combo tool. Let's go ahead and take a look at how they did that. Starting with her crouching H, the hurt box was reduced. So like some other ones we talked about before, this is just going to function as a better anti-air that's harder to stuff. On the opposite end, her jumping H has been buffed. They extended the downward hitbox so it hits closer to the floor and is going to be more consistent as a jump-in attack. They also went ahead and buffed her jumping unique. It now hits 3 times. So they said this is to make it function better as a cross-up tool. It should be noted though that not all 3 hits are overheads, just the first one. Her dash H had its hitbox expanded behind her. This is to help with her combo route since you use dash H a lot when the opponent is sent up into the air. This is to make it so that your combos don't drop as frequently and you're just more likely to actually connect it, even if you end up dashing underneath them while they're in the air. Moving on to some of her bigger changes, the ground pound now has a bigger aerial hurt box, so it is more likely to hit opponents who are trying to jump out of it. And if you can believe it, they heavily buffed the charge version. If you do the charge version, which is a low and has to be blocked low and hits from full screen, if you connect this, even on normal hit, it now gives a crumple. So they now crumple if they forget to block low or they're just moving or whatever. They're crumpled, and yes, you can combo off of this. Moving on to her neutral skill, they went ahead and expanded the forward hitbox so it hits the opponent from much further away. giving her more options in the mid-range. The same is true for the medium version. It hits from further away, and it actually draws them in closer. So at the mid-range, she can go from kind of far to, whoops, you're thrown. Her anti-air grab got buffed, not the grab itself, but the whiffed version. Similar to some other characters like Vikala and Cagliostro, they basically deleted the air recovery off of this, so now when you go for this move, she very quickly throws the fireball and very quickly falls down to the ground. That's kind of like a trend in this patch of moves that used to leave you in the air for no reason, just kind of lingering, all got touched up to where you actually kind of get back to the action quick. So thanks to this, she has a much better projectile to use in neutral. The dive attack, the aerial command grab, sees a slight buff. It now tracks the opponent. The L version tracks specifically at close range. So if you're close, it's much less likely for the opponent to be able to walk out of this or for it to whiff and leave you punishable. And the M version tracks better at long range. So same thing, if the opponent wants to get away from this, they're really gonna have to duck. And now on to the big one, her actual rework. They completely reworked the way her meteor system works. If you don't know, she pretty much the whole focus of her game plan is the meteor system. So what she can do is she can put a ring around wherever the opponent is standing. And once that ring is down, if she does her unique, it'll summon a meteor. And it'll summon it obviously on the ring. And that's supposed to go hand in hand with the ground pound. The ground pound is a low, and that's where the mix-up comes in. They have to block low, which sets them up to get command grab. Pretty straightforward. Now, the thing about the ring is it can be leveled up. There are 4 levels to it. So that's level 1, 2, 3, 4. And the higher the level, the bigger the meteor you summon. So ideally, you do want to get it to level 4 or even 3 if possible. So in order to help with that, they gave it a huge buff to where you can now charge it. When you place a ring, if you just hold the button, you can now set 2 levels at a time. So now you can easily set at level 2, and then with just one more input, boom, you're level 4. So now you can get to level 4 much, much more quickly. And with an EX, you can get to level 3 basically instantly. The EX is also chargeable, and it's 2 right away. So by charging that, you go straight to level 3. So that alone is a pretty huge buff, but it doesn't stop there. When you summon a meteor, meteors no longer consume the entire ring. They only consume 2 levels. So if I have a level 2 ring here and I summon the meteor, it'll go away. But if I have a level 3, as you can see, the ring remains. And you can probably already tell, but this is huge because basically this means if she is all the way leveled up, you get way more utility out of a meteor, and you just get way more pressure. Because in a situation where the opponent blocks a meteor, you now have an extra option to threaten them with. The fact that another meteor is still available to be called means they have to remain vigilant that you're not going to go low and that you're not going to command grab them. Because if you command grab them while the ring is out, it does way more damage. And it's just not a situation that you want to be in because of the fact that, yeah, you have to block low or you're going to get comboed. And combos in general are going to be stronger too, because if you have a level 4 and you launch them, you can actually get a free combo into another meteor. So whether it is offense or combos, she is just 10 times more threatening now that she can drop a meteor and still threaten a second one right afterwards. Not only that, to give her even more freedom, if you use the M version does not track the opponent. It puts the ring in front of Galleon herself. This is to give her more freedom of where the ring is, and it's not always dependent on where the opponent is standing. So if you don't want the opponent to dictate where your ring is, you can simply move it to wherever you're standing, again, giving her even more utility and even more strength of where and how she calls her meteors. And with that, we have reached the end of the video. Thanks for listening, guys. Hopefully by now you feel like you have a really good understanding of all the changes in the patch. Again, so far to me on paper, this patch seems pretty darn good. I'm really happy with it. I'm actually really interested in trying a lot of these changes, specifically, characters I really like Cagliostro and Vikala got a lot of changes. And I want to check out some of the other stuff, especially Ilsa over there. I'm very looking forward to, actually learning her. She seems like a lot of fun. Again, on top of some of these character changes seem very interesting. So there's going to be a lot of Granblue on the channel coming very, very soon. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of it. Don't forget to leave a like if this helped you, as it does help out the channel a lot, and I do appreciate it. If you want to see more guides from me that are guaranteed to level up your gameplay, check the description below. But as always, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.